Hello, thanks for joining me. Um, let's have a conversation today about relationships. I feel like this is a topic that a lot of men and women have when they're in relationships or marriages with the opposite sex. And the question is, can a man have female friends? And can female friends have male friends? Well, according to Steve Harvey, I've heard him say this so many times. He was like, men and women can't be friends because the man in the back of his mind always has the idea that, hey, if the opportunity ever presents itself, I'll take it. So I've heard Steve say this numerous times. And, women write in to the strawberry letter. They ask questions, and he said, "I'm sick and tired of telling women they cannot have or be friends with men because men, in the back of their minds, always looking for the opportunity, or if the opportunity presents itself, to shoot their shot." And so, how comfortable are you in your relationships that if your husband, boyfriend says, "Oh, she's just my friend," or vice versa, if your wife saying, "Hey, he's just my friend." Well, Steve said Margie can't have no male friends. And if Margie can't have no male friends, then evidently Steve must not have female friends. But enough of the celebrities, right? Back to us. So, whenever I hear him say that, I'm always in the back of my mind, like, how do other people feel about this? How do you feel? Does it go to insecurity, or is Steve right? Is he right? And then, I reflect back on relationships, and, some women, we get along better with men, because we don't our men friends, they're not as, some of them not as gossipy or chatty or whatever you want to call it. But it's just sometimes having male friends, it's just like, it's a lot easier. But when you have male friends, are you in the back of your mind, hey, does he really want to get with me? Or if that opportunity ever comes up, will he approach me in that manner? And if he does, then it's like, okay, and do you cross that line? And then if you do, can you ever go back? So has anyone ever been in had a homeboy? This is my homeboy. He's been my homeboy for a long time. And opportunity some years later presented itself, and you like, hey, and you have that conversation, because people say, hey, once you cross that line with a friend, you can't go back. And is that true? Uh, I don't know, because I've been in that situation before. Friend for a long time, but a friend that we always had some type of chemistry for each other, but it was like, okay, we friends, we just gonna keep it cool as friends. And I could talk to him about my relationship stuff, he could talk to me about his relationship stuff. And then, there was a time that it presented itself, and we had that conversation. But we decided, hey, we're gonna try this thing out. And went back and forth a couple of times for a couple of years. But I've come to the conclusion that it ain't working. It ain't working. It's just not working. And so, will we ever be able to go back and be friends like we were before? Of course not. It's different. you know can you really sleep with your friend? And then it makes me wonder, that it's like, how many years in this relationship or this friendship, that in the back of his head, according to Steve, if the opportunity presents itself, then hey, I'm going to, if the opportunity comes, I'm going to take it. And so, when you're in a relationship with especially us women, and we tell our husbands, significant others, whatever you want to call them, hey, this is just my friend, this is my homeboy. And we have the expectation of him saying, okay, cool, that's your homeboy. You hang out with your homeboy or whatever. Do we expect them to be okay with that being a man? Because according to Steve, men can't be friends with women. So if men think like that, then how do you navigate the waters of telling your husband or significant other, this is just my friend, and him believe it and not have any kind of insecurities with the friendship? Um, I, me personally, I do believe that men and women can just be friends, and there not be a hidden agenda, or in the back of his mind, I want to sleep with her one day. I feel like that it just depends on the people, right? And the relationship, the friendship, how was it built? I have friends that I've had, male friends that I've had for a number of years. And if there was ever a time that they may have thought about, hey, I want to get with her, then it's never been communicated to me that way. And so when I was in marriages, relationships, I fought for my friendships. And so it puts some people in an awkward situation when the significant other, whether it's a man or a woman, may not be comfortable with you having male or female friend. And it's like, what do I do? Hey, I've been friends with this dude. I've been friends with this girl for 15, 16 years. I didn't even know you then, right? And so are you asking me to either water down the relationship or just cut it off? And then you have to ask yourself the question, is it fair for you to even ask a person to give up a long time friendship that existed before you existed? And then, of course, it can lead us down the roads of the insecurities, because sometimes we do have insecurities. We do have trust issues. And is it fair to project those feelings that we have onto our mate because of something that may have happened in our past? I get a lot, because by the way, I'm a therapist, right? Okay. And so in counseling individuals in relationships, I get I have trust issues, I'm insecure. And the majority of those feelings, they were formed prior to the relationship that you're in now. And then you're projecting that in your relationship. And so a lot of you have heard us say, like, hey, you got to clean that up. You're taking baggage into a relationship that had nothing to do with how you developed your trust issues, how you developed, your insecurities. And it's not fair to project that onto the other person. And so in my relationships and marriages, I just accepted it. If they had friends, if they had female friends that were there in their lives before me and they're significant to them, I'm not going to fight you or put you in a situation to say, hey, you got to give that up. That's something that was cultivated and grew years before I came into the picture. And regardless of whether I believe that, men and women can be friends or not, is that just something that I have to learn how to cope with or deal with and be okay with? Now, do I have to be okay with you meeting a woman and becoming friends with her? Not so much. Now that we're going to have a conversation about, right? Okay, because you just met this chick and you saying, oh, she my friend, or you met her on the job, she my friend. that's a little different. But when you look back and you have people who have had friends from high school or middle school or, you know, through young adult life before you, and they still have these long term relationships, it's not, is it fair? Now, I'm not saying it is because no judgment here, I'm not allowed, as a therapist, I'm not allowed, I don't judge. So if I ain't judging you, don't judge me. Okay, whatever. But, anyways, so is it fair for us to ask? So I wonder, when Steve says, hey, you know, men and women can't be friends. So if Margie had male friends prior to Steve, where are they now? Did she cut them off and say, hey, my husband doesn't believe this, so I'm rolling with my husband. Okay, I get it. But is it fair? I don't know. It just depends on the individual. I mean, I know couples who've been together for a long time and they have, they have male friends, they have female friends, the husband has female friends, and it doesn't appear or seem to be a problem. But I want to know what you all think. Is this a problem? Or does it have to be a problem? What do you think? Are you okay with your dude having female friends? Or is it does it depend on the situation? Does it depend on if he had this friend way before I came into his life? And then if that's the case, do you feel the need to be friends with your significant other friends? So does your husband feel the need to be friends with your male friends, or does your wife feel the need to be friends with your female friends? And it's like, how do you cultivate that relationship? Now, I think it's a little easier if the friend is either married or in a committed relationship. But if the person is single, then what um do you cultivate that relationship, or do you be like, look, I'm not comfortable with this? And you know how we are, women sometimes, and men, I don't trust it. Or if the person comes around, they may be a little too touchy feely, may hug you a little bit longer than you felt like it was necessary. And then you get to tripping and being like, I don't know, you know. And then we have this thing what we call intuition. And we always told, hey, trust your intuition, trust your inner gut of what you're feeling. If you feel it's not right, then it's not right. I don't know if that's always to be true, because some of us don't have good discernment, good decision making skills. So if that's the case, do we really need is it our gut that's really telling us, or our intuition that's really telling us, something ain't right? Or is it just our own insecurities? And so, again, do you feel the need to be friends with the significant other friends? Do you form this friend group, or do you allow them to just continue the relationship the way that it was? And then I guess the other question is, what happens when you find out, like, hey, okay, y'all, you've been friends for a long time, but what if they cross the line at one point in time? And then now they're like, you know what, we tried that, it didn't work, but we wanted to remain friends. And so does that change your perspective of the friendship if you find out that, hey, yeah, we were friends for 10 years and then we decided we were going to, dip our toe in this other type of pond of relationship, and it didn't work. And now we just back friends. So then it's like, how do you process that? Do you then be like, oh no, you can't be friends with him, or you can't be friends with her because y'all slept together? Like, really? And now you calling yourself really to be friends? And so it makes me wonder about the guy friend that I have. And, because we're still friends. And, how if I, you know, was to introduce him to the person that I'm in a relationship with and say, hey, this is my friend. We've been friends for over 20 years now. But, but what? But yeah, we did sleep together once upon a time. So then do I have the expectation in that relationship for him to be okay with that? Do I? Or vice versa? Same thing with the woman. If you find out that your husband slept with one of his, oh, she my friend, we've been friends for a long time, but hey, we dipped our toe and we pulled it back and we say, hey, we're just going to be friends. Because some people don't believe that you can go back to being friends. And it's not that you can't go back to being friends, it's a different type of friendship, it's a different type of relationship. And the reason I can say that is because I did it. And he and I now, we're friends, but it's a different type of friendship than what we had before. Because sometimes it can be a little bit more intense, and those feelings, it's hard to pull back or self regulate those emotions that you may have had for the person when, you all were just, when y'all were just friends. And so for me, will it be weird for me to be in the presence of him and wife one day, because he's not married, he's not even in a committed relationship right now, because he's a career chaser, but anyways. And so, but I wonder about this. I wonder, like, how am I going to feel? You know, am I going to feel awkward being in the presence of his now girlfriend or wife or whatever the case may be? And then I'm going to be like wondering, did he tell her? Did he not tell her? And if he did tell her, then how does she really think about me or feel about me? And then is this going to end the relationship? Is she going to put stipulations on the relationship and say, hey, you can't be around her without me? Or she may say, hey, I don't want you around her at all. And as his, wife, significant other, whatever it may be, he's going to have to respect that. And then I'm going to have to accept that because he's in a relationship. Now, will I be hurt that, yeah, I don't have my friend anymore? Of course, because we've been friends for over 20 years now. And there was a time when I was in a long term committed relationship and we hadn't dipped our toe. And I was told that, hey, I'm not comfortable with you being friends with him or even having male friends. See, I've been down that road, but I fought for my friendships. And I would just say, hey, listen, let me tell you something. They were here before you got here. And 9 times out of 10, if things don't work out with us, they're going to still be here. So that's the issue I have with giving up friends, whether they're male or female. You have to understand that these are people that have been in your life before the person that is now in your life that you're in a relationship with. And so it's hard for me to say I'm going to dismiss this person when I know who this person is and how this person has been in my life, and the person that I know that, hey, I can call anytime and say, hey, I need X, Y, and Z, or who's going to be a support system. I'm fighting for that. And so when I was in a relationship, I fought for us to continue to be friends. I wouldn't give him up. And so how am I going to feel if he ever gets in a situation and then he decides, hey, listen, this person that I have in my life right now is more important than the friendship, the 20-year friendship that we had. And we can't have it anymore. We hurt. I'm going to definitely be pissed because I didn't do it, but I'm going to understand. And that's the thing about emotions. You know, we process them and then we learn how to move past them. And so that's, kind of like the whole process, right? Learning how to accept things that, we may not even have any control over. And so it's like, what do you do? And then it makes me wonder, do more men have issues with women or their women or girlfriends having male friends versus women having issue with their boyfriends or husbands having female friends? What do you think? That's a tricky one, isn't it? Who's more apt to be like, no, I ain't having it? Is it a woman or is it a man? And I'm not trying to make this, a man woman type of thing because it could go both ways. But it's to me, it's interesting to know. I always like to get other people's perspectives on things. And so, as you join me in this journey, um, I want you to join me with an open mind of not being judgmental, but to be able to express how you really feel and knowing that I'm not going to judge you. Now, I'm not going to say that the people on my platform won't judge you, but I'm not going to judge you. So, and if I had to, I guess if I had to guess, who would be more apt to say, no, I'm going to say it would more than likely be a man. Because I think as women, sometimes we're more compromising, I should say, in our thinking. And we like to give the benefit of the doubt. So if our husband or, significant other says, hey, this is my friend, okay, that's your friend until you show me otherwise. And then when they say that's my friend, do you even ask the question or do you let it simmer in the back of your mind? Or are you looking for like, the little details when they're, together, like, how their interactions are or, you know, and then, you just kind of like, okay, I'm gonna see how this play out. And then you're gonna lower the hammer and be like, hey, look, I ain't comfortable with that. Y'all, what's going on? And then you may ask the question, you ever sleep with her, your friend? I know y'all friends now, but did y'all ever dip your toe in the relationship pond, not the friendship pond? Did you go beyond the friendship zone? Um, and then what happens after that when you find out that, hey, mm, you know, we, yeah, we crossed that line. And I'm not going to say allow because we're adults, right? I don't believe in allowing adults. I feel like, hey, yeah, we allow our children, but, not we allow adults. And then it's like, what kind of conversation are you having after that? Are you having the conversation? And then it's like, hey, it's going to either be her or me. Or he going to be like, it's going to be him or me. And then you like, ooh, that's deep when you got to make a choice. And then what about those people that aren't so truthful or forthcoming, even when the question is asked, right? I ask you and you lied to me because somewhere down the line you found out you went to a class reunion, you went to a family reunion, or you got that auntie or cousin that just run their mouth and talk too much and something was said like, ooh, made a red flag go up, like, why'd she say that? And you like, listen, I asked you and I gave you the opportunity to be honest with me and you lied to me. So what are you trying to hide? Do you still have feelings for her? And so it becomes a whole nother thing. So one thing that I really want to encourage you all to do in these relationships and these marriages, be honest. Now, Uncle Steve said don't, he's like, don't admit to nothing. But y'all know Uncle Steve, he play a lot. So I'm gonna encourage you to tell the truth, because just like we tell our kids, be honest with me, and then it won't be so bad. But I don't know if it really works. Does it work with adults if we're totally honest in our relationships? Because is it a thing of being in a relationship and just kind of like being too honest? I don't think so. I don't think so. If I ask, then I want to be told the truth. I don't want to be lied to. I don't want my feelings spared. Hey, I'm a big girl. Just tell me the truth. So if I ask you what's up with you and your old friend, I need to know. And then allow me to make whatever decision or say whatever I need to say afterwards. I don't need you being like, well, I didn't want to hurt your feelings. Listen, I'm too old for my feelings to be hurt at this point in life. I just need you to be honest with me. Because I'm gonna be honest with you. If I'm not saying, like volunteer a whole lot of information, but if you're asked, like if somebody directly comes to you and asks, just, be honest, like, yeah, once upon a time, I used to kick it with her. Because sometimes, you know, it the chemistry is different. The person walks in the room, and then sometimes you're a dead giveaway anyways, because you said to your wife or whomever, or husband, whatever, whichever way it goes, oh, that's my friend. And then when they walk in the room, there's some type, there's a shift. There's a shift in chemistry, or there's a shift in nonverbals. Being a therapist, oh, one thing that I am good at doing is reading nonverbals. I love to read nonverbals. I love to observe people and the nonverbals, the body language, the eye contact. It tells it all. And I've become good at it, real good. So if, and I'm the type of person that sits in the room, I like to observe interaction. So if you walk in the room and say we at a family gathering, right? This your friend at your home girl, and she's invited to the family gathering. And she been around, she been around your family, 10, 15 years. You may not tell it off. You may not tell it, but your family, oh, they sometimes they ain't even gotta, you know, run their mouth. They just be like, the looks, the looks. And that happened to me once before. Ugh, yeah, it happened. And when she found out, she wasn't happy. But it wasn't that we were even just friends. We had been in a relationship. It's just our families were close. And so just because we weren't together anymore didn't mean that we weren't going to interact with each other or encounter each other. And even after the relationship ended and we got past what we got past, because our families were close and because our families engaged in, gatherings and things of that nature, yeah, we would end up, in the same room. But it's not like, anybody talked about it. And I remember one time, walking in and someone saying to me, oh, I didn't know you, and I didn't know y'all dated. Or it was, it was a cousin that really wasn't around much, and don't know how the conversation came up. Oh, baby. But when that girlfriend found out, she was, and not to say that she wasn't happy, it was just her, how she changed it up, let's say, you know. Um, and I was cool with it because we didn't interact like that anyway. So it was a little different. You know what I'm saying? But that's why I'm saying just be honest, because I would want to know. I would want to be feeling like, like everybody know except for me, or, I walk in the room and it's like people are wondering, do I know? And then if I find out, how I'm going to react. So, you know, I would just encourage you to be honest when you enter into relationships and you have conversations about your friends, what, your friends, your opposite sex friends, because I don't feel like, your but sometimes your homeboys or your homegirls, yeah, sometimes you got to have conversations about them too, because it's certain behaviors that they may display that, the person that you're in a relationship may not be okay with. And so, with all of that being said, um I want to know what you think, and just keep it in the back of your mind, I'm not going to judge you. And, you know go to my YouTube page, subscribe to, please don't judge me, Chantel. Just don't. And, leave me a comment, and I would love to hear from you. I would love to know what you think, you know. Can men and women have opposite sex friends? And again, I'm not going to judge you, but inquiring minds would like to know. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.